how do you build a government that's meant to last? I mean, not just to get through the next few years, but to create a system that stays strong for generations. For a country as massive and diverse as India, that's one of the biggest design challenges you could possibly imagine. So that brings us to the big question, right? How do you actually build a government that can't be easily broken? A system that has this rock-solid foundation, but is also flexible enough to change with the times. Well, for India, the answer is all in the design of its constitution. Everything starts with a blueprint, and for India, that's exactly what the constitution is. It's not just a list of rules and rights. Nope, it designs the entire machine of government, and it does it with some incredible foresight. At the very heart of this design, you'll find what are called constitutional bodies. Now, as the name kind of gives away, these are institutions that are literally written into the Constitution itself. And trust me, that's not just a small detail. It gives them a special status, a powerful shield of protection. Why? Because their powers and how their members can be removed are spelled out in the Constitution, making it really, really hard for any one government to mess with them. So, who are these key players? We're talking about the real heavy hitters of governance here. The Election Commission, the Finance Commission, the UPSC, and of course, the Comptroller and Auditor General, who you've probably heard of as the CAG. Each one is an absolutely fundamental pillar of the system. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit on these pillars. What do they actually do, and why is it so critical that they have this protected status? First up, the Election Commission, set up under Article 324. Just think of it as the totally independent referee for the biggest democracy in the world. Its entire job is to make sure elections are free and fair. And to protect that independence, its chief has the same security of tenure as a Supreme Court judge. That's a big deal. Next on the list, we've got the Finance Commission, coming from Article 280. This is basically the country's chief financial referee. Every 5 years, it has the huge job of figuring out how all that tax money gets divided up between the central government and the states. This is absolutely crucial for keeping the country's federal structure in balance.
Then you have the UPSC, the Union Public Service Commission, from Article 315. I like to think of this one as the nation's top talent scout. It's responsible for recruiting the top-level administrators who actually run the government, making sure the bureaucracy is built on merit, not on political favors.
And finally, the CAG. This body has earned this really powerful title, the Guardian of Public Money. Its mission? To audit every single rupee the government spends, making sure our taxpayer money is being used the way it's supposed to be. It's basically the nation's financial conscience.
But, even the most brilliant blueprint can't possibly predict everything the future holds. As time goes on, new challenges pop up. And so a whole second category of institutions came to be, not from the Constitution itself, but assembled by law.
And these are the non-constitutional bodies. They are just as essential, for sure, but they're born differently. They're created either through an act of parliament, so by a law, or simply by an executive order from the government. And this gives them a really crucial dose of flexibility. And I guarantee you've heard of some of these. The government's big think tank, NITI Aayog, is one. The National Development Council is another. And yep, even the country's main investigating agency, the CBI, is a non-constitutional body. Okay, so we've got these two different kinds of institutions, and they're both working together. Honestly, the best way to really get it is to put them side by side and just see how they stack up. This table really lays it out perfectly. The first and most obvious difference is their origin. Is it in the Constitution? A simple yes or no changes everything. That yes means constitutional bodies are strong and heavily protected. A no means the non-constitutional ones are more flexible and can be changed or even dissolved much more easily. The examples make it crystal clear: the permanent, rock-solid Election Commission versus the adaptable NITI Aayog. Now, really understanding this difference is super important because, let me tell you, it's a place where a lot of people get confused, especially on competitive exams. So let's clear up a couple of the most common mix-ups right now. Here we go, a classic example. On the left, you have the Finance Commission. It's constitutional, born directly out of Article 280. On the right, you have NITI Aayog. It's non-constitutional, created by a simple executive order. They both deal with huge national policy and financial issues, but their foundations, completely different worlds. And here's another one. The UPSC, our constitutional talent scout from Article 315, recruits the top brass for the civil services. But the SSC, the Staff Selection Commission, which recruits for a ton of other government jobs, is non-constitutional. It was created by a specific law to fill a specific need. See the difference? And let's clear up one really critical point about the CAG's power. It is an auditor, a watchdog. It looks at the books after the money has been spent. It has absolutely no power to control or to stop the government from spending money in the first place. So, to put it simply, it reports, it doesn't command. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? What's the genius of this whole system? It's all about balance. India's government framework has these permanent, protected institutions that are like unshakable pillars for democracy and financial stability. And right alongside them, you have these adaptable, responsive bodies that can be created or changed to meet the new challenges of a modern country. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on. A constitution is a living thing. The blueprint can be changed. So the question becomes, as India keeps growing and evolving, which of today's flexible, non-constitutional bodies might become so essential that one day they get written into tomorrow's permanent blueprint?